Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. All things Middle-earth here with a video on the most recent updates that are coming to the game. To me, most of them look like nerfs, but I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. So make sure you comment, let me know what you think about these updates. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, now they posted 3 of these things. We'll go through each of them and I'll talk through what each of them are going to mean in the game and why I think most of them are nerfs. I will say there's at least one that stood out as like a very good update that I was very happy to see. But the other ones I was a little bit questioning on. I am seeing a little bit of the reasoning behind it, and I just think there's a direction the game's going in that we maybe need to talk about, but I'd love to hear again what you guys think. So starting out, it says adjustment to ring abilities and commander upgrades. In Middle-earth, commanders and the units they lead engage in fierce combat and fight for territory on the front lines, consistently shaping every battlefield. We have collected feedback from you and have decided to make the following adjustments to commander upgrades and ring abilities to enrich the way commander upgrades function and to balance the information and abilities of armies on the battlefield. Now, I don't know who they're getting information from, first of all. I don't totally love that they say we've collected feedback from you, because I'll share in a minute why I think some of these things are actually very opposite of what at least the active player base has been talking about, in my opinion. But again, we'll get into it. So the first one here, it says commander upgrade optimizations. Commanders are the core element of the battles, and training them to be more powerful has always been a source of fun for all tacticians. Side note, painfully leveling your commanders because it's such a grind. I don't know if I describe it as fun, but we'll not get into that. In order to enhance the strategic development of commanders and to enable you to collect more feedback on your interactions with map elements, the following adjustments will be made. New tavern tips and experience scrolls. A new series of daily events have been added to the tavern where you can complete different types of events to earn rewards by defeating enemies on the map. Now, this by itself, I think, is a fine thing. The issue is it's coming with some other changes that I don't like. They're like weirdly offsetting each other, and we'll get into it. But basically, they're going to add these experience scrolls. You need to do something in the map. Maybe it's going to be some kind of sweeping, whatever it is. But you're going to do different tasks to get these scrolls, and then you can give them to your commanders to get them XP. So a new item shall be included amongst your spoils. The experience scroll, which you can freely allocate to different commanders to boost their XP based on your strategic needs. And then if we zoom in here, you can see here what the exquisite experience scroll looks like, only usable in the current season and used to obtain a undisclosed amount of XP. So this by itself, if you were just reading this, it's like, okay, hey, they added more ways to get experience in the game, which I do think is a good thing, because right now it's super grindy to level up commanders, and it's something that everyone across the board, as far as I'm aware of, does not enjoy. So this is good, but there's some changes coming that I think negate the positivity of this, at least for me. So that is the experience scroll coming to the game. Next up is the adjustments to ring abilities and commander upgrades. Now, I don't think this was intentional. I'm gonna assume it wasn't, but I do think it's kind of odd that they led with like the, hey, we're adding experience scrolls, and we put some pictures there, and then the other two are just a bunch of text that not everyone's going to want to read through, but I'm going to break it down for you guys here and talk about why, just in a few sentences here, the previous update we're talking about with the scrolls seems less positive to me. So first one, 1.2, adjustments to the effect of the ring ability Quick-Witted. The max level effect of the ring ability Quick-Witted will be adjusted from 100% to 20%. Now, if you're not sure what that means, let me pull the game up so I can show you here exactly what we're talking about. So here we have the Quick-Witted skill, which is for mind sharpening, previously known as mock battling. So mind sharpening, your XP gain is plus 100%. So you can mind sharpen a little bit faster. Now, if you've played the Rise to War recently at all, you still know that it's quite a grind, regardless of this being 100%. But it is one of those things that you want to make sure you're in Quick-Witted before you start mind sharpening, and you go about your business. It's fine, right? So this is now at the max level going to be decreased to 20%. So we're getting experience scrolls, more experience. Yeah, that's great. But we're getting the Quick-Witted skill nerfed, which I do not think is a good thing. Again, I'll summarize my thoughts at the end, so I know I keep saying that, but we're going to get through it. But that's the Quick-Witted skill and the change, or what I would say is a nerf to that skill. Next one is 1.3, adjustment to the sweep order rules. You will no longer be required to occupy adjacent lands when issuing a sweep order, and your commanders will be able to lead units to sweep any mobs within marching range instead of being restricted by the rules of occupying adjacent lands. So this, again, is a very good thing. I just think they've kind of snuck some good things in here with some not so good things. Something we've talked about in the channel before is it's very annoying that you need to connect to lands to sweep mobs. I'm not sure if this will apply to Heart of a Hero. If it does, I think that'd be fantastic. We've talked about that too. You still need to be in range of and have a fort in range of the mobs or whatever within range of your city, but you will not need to have adjacent land. So you don't have to go take 3 1-power tiles to sweep a mob because you're trying to get grain or something like that. You can just sweep whoever you want. That's how I'm reading this, and I think that's a fantastic thing. So far, 2 out of 3 of the things we talked about have been good things, but again, I just think they're like, I don't know. We'll get to the summary at the end. Now it says ring ability adjustments. We have found that the method of obtaining information for some tacticians' armies in the battlefield is too direct, and that information is obtained by the lack of corresponding countermeasures, resulting in many armies falling haplessly into a more passive situation. Hence, the following adjustments will be made. And it goes on, 2.1 adjustments to the effect of the ring ability Quick March. The ring ability Quick March will only be used for movement and will no longer be used as a marching order. In the interim, the effect of Quick March will be adjusted to march speed 100%. So again, we'll pull the game up so I can show you what we're talking about here. So the ability right over here, Quick March, is the one in question that we're talking about. And previously, you could go to any tile, whether it be an enemy tile or a neutral tile, as long as you're connected to it. You go to ring ability and click the Quick March and then choose who you want to Quick March. So sometimes you'd use Clairvoyance, you'd check an army on the map, or you'd look at the battle reports and you'd see who's there, and you'd get your counter set up and you'd Quick March them in. This is no longer going to be a thing. You're going to only be able to march to neutral lands to sort of set up and stage next to armies, but it's going to give more time for enemy armies to react to what's happening in the game. And last but not least, in this section, it says 2.2 adjustments to the effect of the ring ability Clairvoyance. The ring ability Clairvoyance will now only be able to be used on vacant lands instead of enemy lands. In addition, we have reduced the ability point cost of Clairvoyance, allowing you to be more flexible when using it on vacant lands, mobs, and other enemies. So Clairvoyance is already only 2 points, so I have to assume they're taking it to a 1 point cost. But again, just reading it word for word how it sounds, it looks like we can no longer use Clairvoyance to check enemy marches, only on neutral lands, checking mobs, or if you're going to scout a 300 tile, which to me, yes, sometimes I would use it to scout a 300 in the very early game, but that's about it. There's very, very little I would use my Clairvoyance for outside of checking enemy marches. So again, they are now making so you can't Quick March at enemies, and you cannot Clairvoyance enemies to see what is on a tile. Okay, last but not least, and I will say they actually do like more of a summary of their thoughts at the end here, which I do appreciate because it lets us know a little bit of where they're coming from. But even if I don't totally agree with it, I do like that they're providing more of that insight as to why they feel like these functions need to be adjusted in the game. So here it says 2.3 new feature, viewing land battle reports. The ability to view battle reports on designated lands has been added as an additional means of obtaining information about the enemy, enhancing the strategic dimension of the battle. You can directly tap on a designated land to view the recent battle reports of your own fellowship members upon it. So again, we'll hop back over to the game real quick. My understanding is if we're in an area where there are enemies, we could click on a tile and there'll be an option to see view, that'll say something like view recent enemy reports here or view recent fellowship reports. You could click on that button and it would bring up a list, something like this, I would assume, and show you who has recently been, had a tile attacked that's in your fellowship from an enemy. So I think that is actually a very, very good thing. It makes using the report system a lot easier, but again, it's coming at the expense of some other things. So they're adding some good things where it's like more easily viewable reports on specific tiles. They're adding experience scrolls. They're taking away or reducing things like how much you can mine sharpen or how much XP you get from it. The use of quick marching to attack, you can only use it to march now, and the usefulness of Clairvoyance, where it's basically being nerfed to only use in the early game on big power tiles as you're taking them. Other than that, I don't think it's going to be worth the ability points, even if it only costs 1. Continuing on, it says the feature Clairvoyance used to quickly gain accurate information about a defender's armies at a low cost and can put the defender in a relatively passive position on the battlefield, creating an unequal information gap between attackers and defenders. By adjusting the Clairvoyance ability and adding more convenient access to battle reports, we intend to make it easier for you to access information in a fair and more convenient way in order to ensure that the information on armies on the battlefield is fair and more effective. More information about armies will be gradually revealed, affording attackers and defenders more strategic choices while avoiding the problem of unbalanced battles as much as possible. So we get a little bit of the of their why they feel like there's a discrepancy between information that attackers and defenders have, which yes, if you Clairvoyance, you're going to have more information. But in my opinion, I liked Clairvoyance before. You're using ability points or saving ability points to Clairvoyance and do that. And the reason there's a discrepancy between information is because you are paying to get that information. Now, your enemies can do the exact same thing on you to an extent, But if they're not using those or not as actively watching things, they are going to, be potentially very hard countered and just taken out. So I don't disagree that, yes, if you see what armies in the field and send an absolute monster hard counter, it's definitely going to, really pacify that army. But to me, it's sort of penalizing the active players who are already checking reports, who are using Clairvoyance, who are playing smart and know their counters. And it's sort of trying to cater more to like social or more casual players. At least it's the feeling I get. We talked about the last update, which I'll link in the top right if you're curious. They updated the relocation methods, and you have to now build a camp that takes 2 hours to build. And I just think it slows the pace a little bit, which to me caters a little bit more to those who are maybe less crazy hyperactive on 24/7. A lot of these things here seem like they're trying to cater, which again, it's a mobile game. So I know a lot of their audience, they're trying to get more people, interested in it. So if you are playing somewhat casually, it can be a very punishing experience. So I kind of get where they're coming from, but again, as someone who's played actively before, these all seem like nerfs to me. But I'm kind of seeing the other side where it seems like it's to maybe boost the experience for the more social, free-to-play, casual players who aren't on all the time. Still want to take advantage of some of these things, but maybe not quite as much as the hardcore kind of 24/7 players. And lastly, at the very end here, we have an update plan, which again kind of is like their summary of why they're doing things, which I do appreciate. So I hope we see more of these as they put updates out, that they kind of let us know this is why we're doing this. So it says changes to the ring abilities, Clairvoyance and Quick March, as well as a feature whereby the battle reports of designated lands can be viewed and will take effect on all servers after the update on June 14th. So about 1 week from today's date. Changes to sweep rules will take effect on all servers. New tavern tips and experience scrolls, as well as the adjustment to quick-witted, will take effect in all newly unlocked campaigns after the update on June 21st. And then lastly, at the very end here, they say, we hope that these adjustments will enable you to use your extensive strategic experience to gain an advantage in commander development and claim victory. Thank you for your support. Detailed content is subject to final in-game announcement. Please feel free to contact us through our official channels if you have any suggestions or feedback on the content of this update. Again, I think it's kind of funny that they talk about suggestions or feedback, because we post a lot of feedback and don't get a response. But all that to say, first of all, we're getting some updates here, which is a good thing. It's showing signs of life for the game. So if you're concerned about the game's state, the fact that they're updating things and trying to balance, or at least what they say, balance the experience players are having, I think that is a good thing. The issue I have here is we're getting some good things, at least things that I view as good, like the experience scrolls, because if it was just the experience scrolls going out and they were going to really increase the amount of XP you could get daily, that would be a huge win, because leveling commanders is a pain, and all people want to do is level their commanders and then play the game and fight people. That's like a lot of what people want to do. So to me, it seems odd that they're adding that, but then also reducing the amount of experience you get from quick-witted. It seems like they're kind of just balancing those things out, whereas they could have just done nothing. Again, we'll obviously get into the math of it and see how many ability points per day you could have used with quick-witted versus scrolls a day, and maybe we're getting more or less. But for the most part, it seems like odd updates to put out together. And then some of the updates, like the ability to view battle reports on specific land tiles, these sweeping adjustments, those are really good things in my mind. But then the adjustments to Clairvoyance and Quick March, really limiting their use to more neutral tiles and just movement, not so much, using them in battle or using them to attack quickly. Because again, sometimes there are those situations where you Quick March to hold a tile on a very, very crucial point. So the ability to quickly do those things in attack or defend is now being lessened. So I'm not sure how I feel about that, but overall, I don't know. I'm not sure where I stand, because there's some good stuff here. There's some not so good stuff. It seems odd to me, but we're getting an update, so I'm going to try and run with it. But let me know what you guys think down below. Is this just like a 50-50 update? We get some good things and some not so good things. Is the, push towards more social, social, less like hyper competitive active play, is that going to be a good thing for the game? Obviously, if the game has more players, it's going to do well. I mean, is that the intent here? I don't know. I've got a lot of thoughts in my mind. So let's talk about it in the comments. Let me know what you think down below. And as always, I'll see you all in a future video.